believing that people and humanity are inherently good, and they crave nutritious food in their soul, just as they do in their bodies.
I mean, I internalize that as opportunity. Like we had such a responsibility to this audience to deliver something and to have the opportunity to deliver something for a passionate group of people.
Yeah. As
someone who is so deeply passionate myself, I was so excited about that. I would so much rather have that than people who are indifferent.
Blasé.
Hi, everyone. In Hollywood, all it takes is one rumor to create an entire digital firestorm. Lately, the talk is Blake Lively reportedly admitting she lied about Justin Baldoni in an unintended reveal. Nobody is exactly aware where or how this confession took place. Was it a private chat, an unrecorded interview, or an offhand comment overheard by insiders? Despite the absence of explanation, the rumor has blossomed into a popular topic across social media platforms, inspiring multiple threads that probe every element of the narrative. What's particularly notable is that both Lively and Baldoni enjoy nearly trouble-free public images. Lively is best known for roles that highlight her charm and comedy both on screen and on social media. Baldoni, meanwhile, grew to notoriety through his work on Jane the Virgin, then went into motivational speaking and media endeavors geared at empathy and social good. They're not exactly the type of celebs that live on controversy or who frequently feature in the tabloids. Yet here we are, faced with an eye-catching allegation that suggests a secret conflict might exist between two artists who've always looked nearly universally likable. The story centers on the notion of an accidental confession, the idea that Lively divulged something she never meant to make public. Supposedly, she conceded to embellishing or flat-out fabricating some account about Baldoni's behavior, perhaps back when they were both moving up in the entertainment industry. Was it a single line in a private context or a long overdue admittance of guilt? We don't know. All we have are scattershot allegations distributed through tweets, YouTube discussions, and anonymous blog comments. And yet, the more these possibilities proliferate, the more they appear in clickbait headlines, luring eager fans into unending discussion. One thing that keeps people captivated is the discrepancy between their public personalities. Lively tends to be charming, glamorous, and fast with a funny remark, especially when communicating with admirers online. Baldoni, on the other hand, is practically the poster child for compassion and contemplation, utilizing his platform to encourage men to be more open with their thoughts. The study cites a scenario where Lively, someone typically free of scandal, once blamed Baldoni for something he may not have done, only to confess it afterward. It's a dramatic twist exactly because it undermines the flawless image both celebrities have crafted. Naturally, fans have endeavored to piece together a time frame. They've searched for interviews, talk show appearances, or behind-the-scenes material that might reveal a vague reference to these reported instances.
Well, I actually knew of the film before I knew of Colleen's book, which is, so I know a unique entry point, but I think because I just have 1,000 children, I, have missed all of pop culture, and her significant impact in the world of books. I mean, so many of her books are on the New York Times bestseller. I mean, it's crazy.
Certain fans say Lively once dated a difficult colleague without identifying names, prompting them to assume Baldoni must be the disagreeable individual. Others say that a podcast participant alluded to concerns on a shoot when Lively was present. However, Baldoni's name was never established. At every turn, proof stays elusive, more rumor than actuality. That hasn't stopped the story from growing. In the echo chamber of online fandom, a single assumption can spread like wildfire, especially when it holds the alluring potential of a secret confession. At the same time, the lack of verifiable sources is clear. In an era where nearly every conversation may be recorded or leaked, it's surprising that no audio clip, video fragment, or official transcript has surfaced. You'd think a true confession from a star as known as Lively would be seized, up by entertainment publications eager to capitalize on a hot headline. Yet mainstream media networks have shown little interest. This alone suggests we might be dealing with a network of speculation based on weak ground, an internet whisper that expanded via repetition rather than substance. One aspect that intensifies the intrigue is how neither Lively nor Baldoni has formally addressed the matter. Some think that remaining mute is their wisest move. After all, why validate a report that could be nonsense? Others interpret their silence as confirmation that there's truth behind the story. Fans question, if it's entirely incorrect, wouldn't they send out a single tweet or statement to clear the air? But there's no uniform code for celebrity rumor control, and both performers have kept silent. For all we know, they might not see the rumor as strong enough to need a statement, especially when no big newspaper has forced the matter. Complicating matters further, Lively and Baldoni haven't frequently collaborated. They aren't known to have co-starred in a major film or TV series, nor do they appear side by side at charity galas every other weekend. If they'd been in a high-profile project together, maybe the rumor would have some traceable origin, like on-set disagreements or competitive friction. Instead, the two have traditionally orbited separate spheres of Hollywood, intersecting paths only at huge business events, if at all. Yet that very distance might drive curiosity. Could anything little have happened years ago, fast, that Lively subsequently confessed to blowing out of proportion? The rumor's mere ambiguity is part of its attraction. Without a specific date, location, or exact quote, it's malleable enough to accommodate various fan ideas. In one version, Lively was overheard at a private meal joking that she'd embellished a narrative about a male colleague's behavior. In another, she revealed on a little-known podcast that she previously unfairly insulted a coworker.
The times where people ignore the red flags and say, let's just keep pushing, those are the times where you fail. The majority of things that we're buying are created by men. You always learn more from your failures than you do your successes. I love creating, and I think that as women, you're not often given authorship, yet women represent 85% of people making purchases in homes across all categories.
Over time, the unnamed person in these narratives reportedly turned into Justin Baldoni. Even the nature of her claimed misrepresentation differs. Some think she placed an on-set mishap on him, while others suggest she depicted he was more violent than he really was. With each recounting, the scenario becomes more dramatic, although no one can point to a single instance where Lively truly made such words. Ironically, the claim also reveals deeper flaws regarding celebrity society. Why do individuals find the prospect of an unintended confession so captivating? Perhaps it's because superstars often present well-managed versions of themselves, making us desire raw, unguarded moments. The idea that Lively might have privately admitted wrongdoing or dishonesty feels like an opportunity to peep behind the curtain of her polished presence. Even if it's only hearsay, it taps into that intuitive need for authentic peeks into Hollywood lives. Combine it with Baldoni's reputation for genuineness, and you have a plot that's hard for gossip fans to resist. Some onlookers note parallels to earlier dramatic web charges, when a star is supposed to have revealed something controversial, yet no proof ever comes. Those rumors often survive for years, lingering in the recesses of fandom mythology. They re-emerge anytime fans get bored or seek to dig up lost scandals, even if the principal figures have moved on long before. In this case, the rumor might persist precisely because of its plausible yet unconfirmed nature. Lively could have acknowledged to a prior exaggeration, or maybe the entire scenario is made up. The uncertainty keeps people coming back. Meanwhile, there's no sign that this belief has harmed either star's career or personal life. Blake Lively remains a sought-after star in Hollywood, mixing parts in prospective films and profitable brand collaborations. Justin Baldoni continues to speak at conferences, lead debates on vulnerability, and generate content focused at uplifting audiences. Their diverse fan bases provide little evidence of mistrust. If anything, the rumor has become a niche obsession rather than a broad dispute. The fact that their public personalities are so consistently upbeat might be one reason the story doesn't acquire more widespread traction. It lacks the normal drama or tension that tabloids thrive on. Nonetheless, certain fan communities remain tremendously invested. Reddit postings speculate about potential behind-the-scenes run-ins. YouTube reviewers scrutinize previous photographs or interviews, looking for a period when Lively might have let slip an offhand word about Baldoni. The conclusion often seems the same. No definitive evidence emerges. Still, these networks consider the pursuit as a game, each clue or concept fueling greater interaction. It's a reminder of how rumors may turn into participatory experiences.
But I was like just tracking him down, and then I finally got to read the script, and the script was a thriller. So that was a little confusing to me because he's like such a funny director.
Yeah.
And so I said, what is this? Because the script is definitely like a twisting, turning, intense thriller. Is it a comedy or a thriller? And he said, yes. So then every day on set, I was like, is today a comedy or is it a thriller?
It's a good mix
and
of
it's
both.
like, it's like really kind of over the top and campy and trashy and fun and like, kind of like my outfit, I guess.
Fans hunting for the next puzzle piece, even if the finished picture might not exist. Some suggest that if Lively genuinely did lie about Baldoni, it might have been a small matter that got exaggerated over time. Maybe she laughed at him being late to set or chastised him for a habit that wasn't actually his. In Hollywood interviews, exaggerating to communicate an interesting narrative isn't unusual. Could that balloon into the present rumor? Possibly. Others say that Justin was someone else entirely. Hollywood has no shortage of Justins, and the internet confused the specifics. Without a public remark from Lively, it's just guessing. Baldoni's stance on the topic remains unknown, which is unsurprising because he's rarely addressed claims that don't directly impact his enterprises or humanitarian activities. He generally tries to keep discussions concentrated on themes like emotional well-being and community building. If he's aware of the rumor, maybe he finds it too insignificant to engage. Alternatively, he could be waiting for a more solid reason to speak up. Since no official channel has mandated comment, he may see no need to stir conjecture by addressing it. Curiously, some fans believe the absence of a denial confirms the rumor's credibility. They imply that celebrities often publicly reject inaccurate assertions, although that rationale doesn't always true. Many celebs avoid supporting unsubstantiated gossip as a denial can accidentally win it more exposure. We've seen this tendency previously. Rumors often dissipate on their own if persons involved offer no reaction, or they remain indefinitely, evolving into urban legend. Right now, the Lively Baldoni narrative remains in that gray territory, neither entirely dismissed nor established. From a cultural sense, the myth reflects our fascination with the thought that even the friendliest celebrities can have skeletons in their closets. The phrase accidental confession is quite effective. It suggests a moment of true truth. A performer famous for poise and grace may apparently trip up and let slip an uncomfortable fact. This rawness is interesting to many individuals who are used to highly sanitized celebrity photographs. An unplanned reveal offers a real-time view of the star's flaws, regrets, or hidden feelings. But if we zoom out, we discover precious little that reveals any true tension between Lively and Baldoni. They've never publicly criticized one another, and there's no record of a severe fallout. On the contrary, everyone has kept growing a career on the ground of likability, friendliness, and humor. If Lively actually felt awful over something concerning Baldoni, one would anticipate at least a slight hint in interviews or public contacts. Instead, both stay totally cordial and concentrated on their individual paths.
So it's a bit of a tough adjustment in our house, but it's good. I mean, I have two other daughters, so my oldest is very into the baby, but my middle child, not so much. But we're thinking of keeping her.
Does she like play with her? What does she think?
Well, she sort of like pretends to play with her. So like in the beginning, our oldest is like loving on her, and she's like very maternal, and then our middle daughter is just keeps away from her.
That gap between rumor and fact is striking, and for many, a strong caution that the narrative lacks basis. Some loyal followers of Lively argue that she wouldn't stay silent if she'd done something improper. In the past, she's been fairly straightforward. In squashing stories she thinks especially inaccurate. Her cheeky clapbacks on social media are well known, particularly those involving her husband, Ryan Reynolds. If she felt this rumor was detrimental, or had any grain of truth she regretted, she might have addressed it. Yet thus far, she's maintained her regular internet presence, focusing on family updates, witty quips, and promotional content. Baldoni has been as consistent, talking about empathy, new endeavors, and personal improvement. Neither looks even appreciably upset by the rumor. Of course, given the lack of a firm announcement, conjecture lingers. Some corners of the internet refuse to let go, believing there's a secret tale. But if we rely on physical proof, we end up with an empty file, No leaked audio, no honest comment, no insider coming out with verifiable testimony. Just the continuous allegation that Lively confessed. It's a textbook illustration of how certain rumors bloom on repetition, rather than proof. Each fresh remark strengthens the theory, even while the underlying components remain opaque. When it comes to celebrity gossip, sometimes the most persistent stories are the ones that lack specifics, because they're hardest to deny outright. With no specific event or date to tie down, supporters can construct countless scenarios that keep the rumor alive. Even if it seems unlikely, the rumor's what-if component offers its staying power. People love to visualize behind-the-scenes drama in Hollywood. It's part of the appeal. And the prospect of a confession, inadvertent or otherwise, enlivens that fantasy with a fragrance of actual suspense. Yet the rumor's influence on the stars? Reputation seems modest. Blake Lively's social media activity is as vigorous as ever, while Justin Baldoni's reputation remains great. If there was any serious quarrel behind the scenes, it hasn't permeated into their public or professional life. That might speak more about the solidity of their images than it does about the rumor's credibility. Unlike previous scandals that cause huge indignation, this one feels more like an internet curiosity, a riddle that people study now and again, but that never blows up in a serious way. One possibility is that the story will gradually dissipate, eclipsed by newer celebrity issues. Unless a large outlet picks it up or someone directly pushes Lively or Baldoni on it, the story might simply fade into obscurity.
And being frank, if it were not for women giving me direct feedback in my own personal life and being a man who was willing to at least listen to them, there's no chance that I would be having this conversation. So the message, to answer your question, the message is very simple. As men, we need to embrace all of the parts of us that make us human. That's it.
It is.
It's
And
very simple.
Another possibility is that it becomes permanent gossip folklore, reincarnated every so often when fans cycle through old tales. We've seen that pattern with many unsubstantiated tales. They never reach the stage of broad verification, yet they don't totally evaporate either. For folks witnessing this rumor for the first time, it's helpful to approach it with suspicion. The phrase, accidental confession, could seem alluring, but in Hollywood, actual confessions often arise through properly documented interviews or statements. The fact that no such record exists is telling. Of all, the human mind loves the thought of concealed truths, especially with characters who have carefully built images. That's why tales like this may stay around, spawning endless discussions over what might have happened in intimate moments we'll never see. In the grand sense, the rumor also highlights how swiftly and readily narratives can circulate online. One person's speculation can become another person's, "I heard it from somewhere reliable," and so on. By the time individuals seek a true source, the narrative has moved too far to contain. Without direct aid from the stars or their teams, it endures. And in a way, that's part of digital culture. Stories develop, morph, and be retold, sometimes wandering far from their foundations, if they ever had a clear origin at all. Ultimately, whether you view this rumor as an amusing bit of fan fiction or a serious accusation can rely on your own threshold for strong proof. Some find it entertaining, a gentle reminder that celebrities aren't always who they seem. Others dismiss it outright as baseless hearsay. Both Lively and Baldoni continue thriving in their careers, leaving no clue that any tension exists. If a real confession ever took place, it's likely we would have a more physical trail pointing back to it. Instead, we have a whirl of conjecture and curious fans prepared to assume there might be more than meets the eye. So, did Blake Lively truly accidentally confess to lying about Justin Baldoni? The most honest answer is, we don't know. And there's not much reason to think so. Without supporting evidence, the rumor remains an online anomaly, maintained alive by those enticed to the prospect of a secret scandal. Unless Lively or Baldoni steps forward to confirm or reject it, the rumor will probably keep growing in low key. Celebrity gossip circles, occasionally rising in curiosity before receding back into the background hum. And that, maybe, is the ultimate testament to how rumors behave in the entertainment world. Even a whisper can persist if it hits the necessary notes. A dash of controversy, a contradiction of public personas, and a sprinkle of doubt surrounding a presumed confession. In a media ecosystem packed with quick bite tales, it only takes one enticing term like accidental confession to entice people in. Whether it's valid or not becomes secondary to the excitement of unraveling it. We adore the chase, the hunt for fragments of truth, no matter how thin. For now, we're left with an unanswered conundrum. Unless more information emerges, or one of the performers decides to break their silence, maybe years from now, in a forthright memoir or interview, Lively or Baldoni might address this incident and laugh it off, or maybe it'll remain a footnote in the annals of celebrity gossip. One more instance of how rapidly speculation can bloom into a resilient urban legend. Either way, it's a story that reveals us as much about our thirst for disguised drama as it does about these two normally pleasant public personas.